You may disagree, but up to me, it's a fact. You're paying running backs, it ain't no fun in that. Yeah, the sermon about to start, so I hope you know your stats. And if Kev get it wrong, then Rashad on his back with the facts. Matter of fact, all we do is say wins. When wings, congregation say amen. Trades, debates, wins, losses, the latest news, but Prophet Kev speaking.
Welcome to Preach Kev Preach with Rashad. We are the Providence Center episode, another sermon. Coming at you from Wildcard Sports here on Wildcard TV. Another week to be right, Rashad. What's going on, man?
And we back at it again, man. With this, part 3 division breakdown?
Part 3, yes, sir. AFC North. We count it down, man.
NFL is almost back. College football is almost back. So we just count it down.
Sure.
You know, man, it felt like basketball went on forever, so it feels good to kind of get back into some football again, man.
Thanks. Man, AFC the AFC North is probably is going to be a great division. Hopefully, y'all checked out our other show, the AFC South and the NFC South. They just dropped. Make sure y'all check that out as well. The AFC North has probably turned into. Or I would say this. We'll talk about the NFC West in the later show, but this might be the second most competitive division as far as when you got three teams at the top. Pittsburgh been so great at the top for a long time, Baltimore as well, and now you have the Cleveland Browns, man, who made the playoffs last year. And whenever Cincinnati Bengals can come along, this can be a tough division. But the AFC North has a lot of. This is actually going to be a real show. Like when you got, I think our other two divisions pretty much we kind of knew who at least going to be at the top as far as who going to win the division. We had the Buccaneers coming out top of the NFC South by a landslide, and we had the Titans, edging out the Colts just by a little bit, and really based off the injuries of the Colts going into the season. Really, that's really all it really was. It wasn't like it hit or miss or there, right? So this one, man, a lot of different directions it can go. A lot. I think they have a hard division. They're playing the AFC West, so every team get to play Kansas City, who probably, is considered the best team in the best team in football. Maybe I think they take on do they take on the NFC West? I believe. Got Arizona. No, they take on the NFC North.
Yeah. So
Minnesota, Packers, those two teams are projected to make the playoffs. So, that's some more teams to that, especially, and then you got to play your own division. So that's gonna be tough, man. So let's hop right into it. The AFC North, we're gonna start with the division winner. No, we're gonna start with I better quarter. My fault. We're gonna start with the Baltimore Ravens, who came in second last year, 11-5. I mean, we know about the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, great defense. A team that's built around a quarterback who likes to run the ball. A run-first team. You got Gus Bus back there, backfield. J.K. Dobbins in year number 2. I mean, we've been preaching for this for a long time for the Ravens. It's like you've seen Baker Mayfield get Jarvis Landry and OBJ. You've seen Josh Allen get Stephon Diggs. And we're still waiting for Baltimore Ravens to supply Lamar Jackson the receiver. I think when it comes down to it, I think that's until they fix that need. We will always say the same thing about Lamar until we see it. So that's my only biggest part. You bring in Sammy Watkins. You drafted Rashad Bateman, who has big promise. Still got Hollywood Brown. Still got what's tight end, my boy Mark Andrews from Oklahoma in year 3 or 4. He's probably the 4th best tight end in the league, probably.
I mean, it's debatable. It's debatable. You got Kelsey, Kittle, Darren Waller. After that, it kind of becomes just a preference thing.
Yeah. So, and Mark Andrews probably, at least for receiving tight ends, probably up there as far as if you want to go that route. He probably a top 5 guy. But man, the Ravens. Where you want to start out with this, man? Because it's a little bit to unpack there.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens, they have a lot of things to be, I don't want to say concerned about, but they have a lot of things coming up. we all know the NFL is based off of Windows. Not to our Microsoft, but we know the NFL is based off of Windows, man. So you're going into your 4th year with Lamar. We all know that rookie deal, the first 4 years is the best time to capitalize. And I mean, he's definitely outplayed his rookie deal. I mean, the dude is at 30 wins, 7 losses. I mean, he's won, 80% of his games pretty much. So,
I mean, it feel like he only lost to Kansas City at this point.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's really been like the losses. Like, it'd be Kansas City. He took the playoff L against Tennessee. I forget the other team lost in the playoffs, but for the most part,
Chargers. It was Chargers.
Chargers, Titans, and then like you said, Kansas City. So for the most part, man, that's really been his Achilles heel. Can he get past Kansas City? But he's been as good as advertised. I mean, dude was the MVP. They had a great record that year, so he's been the MVP. He's outplayed expectations for the most part. The only thing right now is, can that receiving core and Lamar's passing game take the leap to be a Super Bowl? They've been in their Super Bowl window, but can they be considered a Super Bowl contender outright? Because whenever you bring up the Ravens, it's always concerns about the passing game. Lamar his best year has been 3,100 passing yards. I mean, he had 36 TDs that year to 6 INTs.
Incredible high QB rate, though. I mean, a touchdown rate. That's.
Oh yeah, man. And like we knew that was going to regress this past season. And even this past season, he was still pretty good. He didn't hit 3,000 yards, but he was at 26 TDs to 9 INTs. And of course, what he brings with his legs is off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to deal with that issue, the passing game. Of course, I got to say his rookie, you're entering the 4th year of his rookie deal, so it's time to give him an extension. Mahomes has already gotten his extension. Josh Allen's on the board with his extension. So the playing field is set in that regard for us, what he's going to be looking for contract-wise.
Yeah.
So that's going to hurt the Ravens going forward, because you got to bring out the brake truck for the guy. You got to bring it out there.
Got to.
I mean, you change your offense to fit him, what he does. You just drafted Bateman. Unfortunately, he's a rookie and he just had core muscle surgery, so that's going to kind of delay what he can do to get off to the season to a hot start. Sammy Watkins still is a speedster, but at the same time, Sammy's more name value than what he does on the field these days, because Sammy's been known to be injured. That's just what it is. Marquise Brown,
Hollywood.
I mean, he's a speedster. But he's only one-dimensional in the receiving game. So your best option at this point is Mark Andrews. As far as one thing on the offensive side, let's see what J.K. Dobbins turns into. Can he take some of that pressure off Lamar?
Right.
Let's see what he turns into. A great year last year, in my opinion. But let's see what he turns into in his second year. I think he had 900 yards and I think 9 TDs as a rookie. And that was pretty good, So hopefully catching up to NFL speed, being more familiar with blocking, just the blocking. And they did add a little something on the outside. Maybe he can cross that 1,000-yard total, get up to 10 to 15 touchdowns, and kind of help out Lamar on the rushing side.
I'm about to say, do Lamar Jackson really need help on the rush? I mean, that's man.
I mean, like
1,000-yard back now.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar is like a top 5 running back. I mean, it's a joke everybody throws out.
It's a joke, but
the dude really is putting up like RB type numbers.
I'm about to say, yeah. Much we joke around about it. I mean, if you talk about pure running ability, how many names till you get to Lamar Jackson? It's probably, you might name a Cook or Henry. And then you might say Lamar Jackson, like that's just for real. But yeah, man, it's like this. Like for Lamar Jackson and coming into year 4, what I am expecting. Okay, so like right now when this show is being re-recording, he hasn't been paid yet, and it could happen next week. It could happen in next couple of months. But what we do know is in year 4, if he doesn't get paid going into the season, to me, I know you say you got to bring the Brinks truck to him, right? And I'm gonna have to do it because I have no other choice. But it's like, man. But I'm like, man, I sure wish he would show. Not even show. I sure wish that we would, as an offensive coordinator, make him air the ball out some more. And maybe that's not the success for the Baltimore Ravens, per se. But when you talk about, like, the seasons, you look at how many comebacks wins he got, right? So 30, he got 30 wins. He got 2 come from behind wins. Like, and this, when the Ravens get down.
Yeah, they can't play from behind. Their offensive style isn't meant to play from behind. It's play with the lead.
Now he got 4 game-winning drives. So I mean, I guess I would out of those 4, 2 has come back. So that's fine. But it's like, man, I would show. I mean, and I guess that's a good thing too. Like, you're not losing games late in the fourth, but at the same time, when you did lose games in the fourth, you couldn't beat the Chiefs, you couldn't beat the Chargers, couldn't beat the Titans when you was down. So that's all I want to see right there. Really is when the Ravens are down, I got all the money riding on you. Go win me the game, and as long as Lamar Jackson can continue to prove that, I don't have no issue paying him what he needs to be paid. And like you said, way outperformed his contract. MVP. He's putting you in another category, like another stratosphere with being among the best of the best. Because even with Joe Flacco, we would never sit there saying, like, after the Super Bowl, Joe Flacco, like, we would never sit there saying, like, oh, Ravens going to Super Bowl. We'll say, oh, Ravens made the playoffs. But with Lamar Jackson, they're in a whole nother stratosphere. We can win the Super Bowl every single year. And, I think when we go into our schedule, when we look into our breakdowns, it's like, okay, and I can see why. Like, it's one of the best rosters in football. Offensive line is pretty good. They did trade Orlando Brown. He went to the Chiefs, but the defense is what it is. I mean, it's stacked over there. This one of the best secondaries in the league. The linebacker core is young, but they're getting better. Patrick Queen last year, he coming in year 2. We know what that front four going to do, and when you got a guy like Lamar Jackson to worry about, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Bus, they just gonna shove it down your throat, and then when you least expect it, boom, over the top. Like, and that's been working. It's been working. It got 30 wins. So yeah, you're right. And we when you talk about looking to the schedule, I'm probably gonna add about 12 to 13 more. So it's something about the Ravens that I guess it's kind of the same when you said about the Titans on the AFC South show, where you said it's time. Like, it's time to put up a shut up. And when you pay all your guys, all right, well, now we might be strapped. So this is it. And I think that's what you mean by that. Like, same thing with the Ravens. Like, after we pay Lamar Jackson, we're not gonna be able to bring that corner in, or that receiver that we want to bring in, because he got all the money. So that's gonna be a big thing going into the season.
Yeah, I think they missed out on bringing in Antonio Brown. Like, the Bucs, when they got him for dirt cheap. I mean, granted, Antonio Brown did develop a reputation, but I still think, man, that was the guy that Baltimore needed to go after to kind of make this, to really at least put a stamp on, like, we're going for it with a future Hall of Fame type guy in Antonio Brown. I'm not sure where they really go with that. Yeah, you drafted Bateman, you drafted Brown the last couple of years, but those still aren't the kind of guys, I don't think, that can put you in that elite wide receiver category to be like, okay, they can win throwing the ball. I don't think those guys are enough. And once you pay Lamar, I'm not sure where you go, because, I mean, you're starting to feel that pressure of, we got to win now, because we're going to, at some point, I mean, Baltimore's been one of the great franchises the last 25 years. I mean, they've only been around since 96. So they've been one of the better franchises the last 25 years. They already got 2 Super Bowls in 25 years, so they basically, they won a Super Bowl in like their 5th year of existence. Like, they won a 2000 Super Bowl. So they were only a 5-year franchise at that point. So they have shown they can put teams together. They can win multiple different ways, typically by defense, but now they're more offensive oriented with Lamar, more modern. But they lost Judon, they lost Ngakoue in free agency. So I mean, once you kind of put the Lamar contract on the books, that could become a domino effect if you're going to have to start losing some of your higher paid players and just draft better.
Right. I'll say they did try to bring in Juju. Now, would you? I mean, you probably won't say that changed that much of a needle, but he's a possession guy to me, and more of a slot receiver. And when you put the speedsters on the side of him, and you can attack the middle of the field with Juju and Mark Andrews, you can open up a little bit more as far as like, you're gonna have guys open because I mean, you see Lamar brings a whole nother threat to the offense that you have to be worried about him running off too. So, they tried. And my thing was I need to see more trial. I need to see rumors. Oh, the Ravens offered, Antonio Brown a contract. Or the Ravens offered Kenny Golladay a contract. He just didn't come. If you just losing out on them, okay, that's fine. But at least you're going out your way and trying to get it done, because what the problem is. Let's because we have to come from behind. What we got to do? Pass the ball. So you're gonna have to get the receivers that can go get open, and that's the only thing I think.
I mean, even the Julio Jones thing to go to Tennessee. I mean, Baltimore should have tried to get into that a little bit more. They should have went hard to try to get Julio. I mean, it's been guys out there that were attainable, but they haven't attained them. Antonio Brown, Julio, Stephon Diggs,
D-Hop.
If DeAndre Hopkins, if he doesn't sign an extension in Green Bay, Devontae Adams gonna be on the market. So, a lot of the elite guys of this era are changing teams. I mean, even on that tier 2 scale, tier 3, whatever people rank him at, like Kenny Golladay made a move from Detroit to the Giants. Like, why didn't he go to Baltimore?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just certain little things like that can at some point alter the course of your franchise. I mean, Allen Robinson got franchise tagged by the Bears, but when he's up, will he consider the Ravens? Will he go somewhere else? So, it's just little things like that. I mean, of course, as the season goes on, there'll be some teams that are playing bad. Guys will get disgruntled. Will somebody demand a trade to the Ravens?
Yeah.
Will they willing to give up what they have to give up to get that person? Because Super Bowl windows only last so long.
Yeah, and that's facts. I'll give you one name before we move on that could be potential that I think could make an impact and is free. Golden Tate, because you don't need an outside guy. That's not what you need. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you need somebody in the middle of the field to do the dirty work. And Golden been good for Seattle and Detroit for those years. I mean, I'm just saying, like, guys you can at least bring into a camp. Like, you can bring him in for free if he don't work out, send him home. But that, like you said, you want to make the effort. You got to make the effort. You got to try to attain something.
Yeah, the other name I will throw out, he's been rumored for so long. Slant boy, Mike Thomas. I mean, if he gets this gruntle, he's going to play for a contender. You can't go from playing with Drew Brees to mediocrity. So, if anything, I would think the Ravens may try to go after him. He's already paid. So, whatever you have to work out salary cap wise, at least, and he would kind of fit what you're saying. He's a possession guy. You're not asking Lamar to throw it hella down the field, a slant boy. He can just catch a couple of slants. Couple of slants, couple of in and out routes, things like that. That'll make Lamar more dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think a guy like him could be that missing piece, but they're loaded defensively. You got Campbell, Wolf, Queen, second year, third year, Marcus Peters, those guys, Marlon Humphrey. I mean, I think Jimmy Smith is still in the secondary too. So, you got the pieces at every level to defensively make a run and offensively to make a run, to have a good season and get to the playoffs, probably win a division, stuff like that. I don't think you'll be the 1 seed because Kansas City just has that good of a roster and schedule. But you can be a playoff team, have home field advantage, and hopefully at least make the AFC championship. Like that should be that's your ceiling. Hit the championship game and at least try to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm about to say, so Vegas has the Ravens at 11 wins. We both currently have them. I have them at 13. You have them at 14. So we have a great season for the Baltimore Ravens coming up. And like I said, I feel like we both on the same page. As far, only thing you have to check off is that receiver. And if maybe Rashad Bateman will become a superstar. It's very possible. So he's one of the best coming out of college. So it's very possible that you already have it in house. So as long as you can come back, if you get down and come back from behind wins, and you fix the receivers. I mean, the sky's the limit for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, this is tough division too, man. So they got to come in strapped up every week.
Let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year, 4-11-1. I had the under last year. Check. Again, 2 years in a row. This team has a lot to grow. I think Zach Taylor probably won like 7 games. Opposite of what Lamar doing. Zach Taylor got like 7-8 wins as a head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I don't think it get too much easier for him this year. They drafted Jamar Chase, who's the best college receiver 2 years ago at LSU when they won the championship. He's back with his old college teammate Joe Burrow. I think offensively, I feel like if Joe Burrow it's all about the quarterback, man. If the young guys are coming in and making a statement early, like I said, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, who outperform their contract. And if Joe Burrow can outperform his contract, and put Cincinnati on the map, at least be a solid team as they continue to build around. Hey, you got things growing, man. You got Jonah Williams making his debut this year after sitting out last year. So he's there. So that's essentially another first round pick that you had with Joe Burrow coming back from injury. So that you got to find ways, man. I love Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, man. He's a baller. And who else you got? T. Higgins. He played some ball last year. So you got potentially the best receiver trio, maybe the best, maybe even competing for the best weaponry. Like if you had a good tight end, like in the NFL, like just as a collective unit. And I guess the only problem is, they just don't have enough playmakers everywhere as far as defensively to really make a statement. But Cincinnati, I think they're on the rise. It's just a real. It's not like it's not like 0 to 100. It's more 20 to 40 to 60. It's a steady incline, and we just have to be patient with them. That's all. That's really where I'm at with Cincinnati. You just have to be patient and take your time.
Yeah, Cincinnati has perennially been a terrible franchise, especially with Andy and Marvin Lewis. That made a couple of playoff appearances, but recently they've been 4 or 5 wins. If you're a betting person, you take the under almost every year you're gonna hit. But they have a lot of growing up to do, man. You're in a division with historically great Pittsburgh. Baltimore's been great since they've been in existence, and now you have the Browns, who have, last year they overcame their stigma of Browns gonna Brown.
Right.
So now it's up to the Bengals. Do you have the right things in place to take your step going forward? You drafted Joe Burrow, who had arguably the greatest college football season in history. You have Joe Mixon, who is one of the best dual threat RBs in the game, catching, running. He's averaging, I think, 19, 20 touches a game. So when he's on the field, he's gonna be dynamic. It's just, can you stay in games where you can still make running the ball a viable part of the game?
That's the part, yeah.
Because he can definitely catch it, but it's like you need to be balanced where he can run and catch. You bought the receiving core, Jamar Chase. He had a crazy year with Joe Burrow. T. Higgins, crazy rookie season. Tyler Boyd, he's been on that 1,000-yard trend. And you still have Auden Tate. They brought in, some guys on the defensive side, which has always been a bad thing for them. Yeah, since the Marvin Lewis era anyway, the defense has left a lot to be desired. But they brought in some solid pieces for defense. My 2 biggest concerns: offensive line. Joe Burrow got hurt this past year because no offensive line, and there's been somewhere out of training camp he's not fully comfortable on that leg yet. He's still trying to navigate that, but he has the weapons to get the ball too if he has the time. It's just how much time will he have, and over the course of the season, do they have the training staff that can keep him, healthy and give him that confidence to trust his leg? You mentioned Jonah Williams, but I thought Chase is great, but I thought they should have added another offensive piece to pair with that, because your asset's your quarterback. If you don't have the time, you got Mixon. If these guys don't have the time, if they can't hit the hole to get 5-10 yards here or there, if Burrow don't have the time to go through first read, second read, third read, what's the point? You know, you're gonna be in not even a shootout. You're just gonna be playing from behind every week, and then once teams playing prevent defense on you, you're predictable. So they have a lot of growing up to do. Zach Taylor, 2 years, only 6 wins, 6-25. I think he has to turn it around soon, because if not, they'll be on the coaching circuit again. You know, 2-14, 4-11. That is a 2-game improvement with Joe Burrow, who did not finish the season. So they could have probably added a few more.
Possible, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow didn't go down. I mean, they had a silly tie. That should have probably been. I thought it should have been 5 wins.
They should have won the game. What about the Eagles, right?
Yeah, they should have won the game. And then you think about, let's say Joe Burrow stays the rest of the season, you maybe get 1 more, maybe 2. So they'd have been looking at like a 6-win season, I think, if Joe Burrow stays. So this is what you're hoping for this year. You're hoping to just continue to show growth amongst the coaching staff, amongst the roster, and add some more wins to show that the franchise is going in the right direction. They're all young. Zach's only 37, 38. They're all young and growing together.
I'm about to say, do you think Cincinnati will have patience? You kept Marvin Lewis around for a long time. Now, yes, he made playoffs, and but he didn't have a playoff win his whole career. So it's not like you know what I'm saying. Like, you might as well let him develop, because my thing is what we always say. Like, if you brought Zach Taylor for offense, if your offense is ranked 25th and 27th, then he need to go. Yeah. Right. So that, I think that's what we have to look at. Like, okay, the defense is gonna be what it is. But if they're being a top 12 offense with Joe Burrow, and like you said, you got the Jamar Chase instead of getting the tackle. Okay, well, show me why, you know. And I know the whole Jamar thing is probably could be a problem, but I think Boyd and Higgins might not fit as far as what they want Chase to do. I think all three different receivers. So at least it's not like, at least you didn't dip into the same pool. Kind of like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same. You didn't get 2 Tyler Boyds or 2 T Higgins. You got a 3 guys who can give you something different. So maybe we'll see like a lot of screens from Chase and get the ball in his hands and see what he can do. So, which I don't think you can do that with Higgins and Boyd. So Cincinnati Bengals wins. Vegas says 6.5. We both took the under. You at 5. I'm at 4. 5-12 and 4-13. I actually have them going on a 5-game losing streak to end the season. So you pretty much got a 1-6 to end the season. So I mean, I don't know what you deem successful for Cincinnati. You're in the toughest division in the AFC. So I mean, if you can get 2 wins in the division, that's a plus. That's a success season to me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati is one of those franchises where your success cannot be measured by the wins and losses. To a certain extent, it can be, but that can't be your sole basis on evaluating them. I mean, again, this is Zach Taylor's first coaching job, and he's a young guy. Like, so you have to evaluate him on how prepared is the team every week. Like, you have to actually watch their entire games to see, are they coming in prepared every week? Like, did the coaching staff make the right play calls and things like that? Like, was it a decision-making play of Joe Burrow that cost them a game? Was it a bad coaching error that cost them a game? Like, were they, just things like that. You have to always look at just their preparation, their execution, and just what is the pulse of the locker room. Even if you take a hard loss, can Zach Taylor still keep the locker room believing in him? So they won't always be measured by wins and losses. They're going to be evaluated on other metrics besides wins and losses. Like, are they showing promise? Are they a top 15 offense? Are they a top 20 defense? Like, just making solid year-over-year improvements, because Cincinnati is not the most desirable job as is. So right. Why not let the team grow with? If Zach is doing a good job, why not let the team grow with him? But I just know if they don't really have a solid season and make some improvement, you can't keep your job if you only have 10, 11 wins in 3 years. It's going to be, it'll start to come up in the conversation of the team hasn't made positive strides.
Yeah, and that's hard because you're talking about somebody who is setting up the future for somebody else when, you know, realistically speaking, when the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender, when the Pittsburgh Steelers had their windows, it's probably closing, but they're still up there. And you have the Cleveland Browns, who just emerged as one of the best teams one of the best rosters, one of the best AFC teams. We'll get into them in a second. And is it really realistic to say, well, if you don't win 8 games, you gotta get fired? Like because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you might go 0-6 in your division. Like that's very possible. Like if you had to make a bet either way, like it probably be even odds either way, like to win a game or not win a game in this division. And then on top of that, you got to play the NFC North. They got 2 teams in the playoffs, like Green Bay and Minnesota, who probably can make the playoffs. So you talking about 0-8. Then you got to play the Chargers, who's a good team, and the Raiders, who's at least average. You know what I'm saying? So you got. It's not like it's going to be a walk in the cake to get 5 or 6 wins anyway. And so I mean I was strongly lean to under 6.5 wins that Vegas set, and it just because it's like, yeah, I mean realistically, it's like is the team good enough to win all these games? And you start the season off Minnesota, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and it's probably without Joe Burrow, right? Like he's not back on the field 100%. So it's like if you go with a backup, you're not winning these games. And then like even with him, he missed ACL. You say he might be worried about his knee. Okay, well, you got Minnesota coming at you in D-line, the Chicago Bears D-line, Khalil Mack, Pittsburgh with Watt. Come on, like this is just, it does not be it's not a good like start to a season, which we know can demoralize you very, very quickly. So it's tough, man. And I get you saying, like, if you're not winning no games, you probably have to go. But realistically speaking, I'm just saying what past history shows us, they let Marvin Lewis get away with, mediocrity the last 4 or 5 years. So, and this without, a young quarterback. They had a veteran quarterback in Dalton. So, I mean, we'll see, man. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll disagree to a certain extent because, like, if you look at like Marvin Lewis' tenure, there were some down years, but like when he was down, it was usually a good reason why. Like he came in the gate 8-8, playoffs third year, and then the years after that, Carson Palmer got hurt. They dealt with a couple of things, but once they got Andy Dalton, they were back in the playoffs again. I think like the 4-12 years, and they made the playoffs 5 years in a row. And then the last 3 years, they were still mostly competitive. 7-9, 6-9. That's almost 500.
Yeah.
So like they were still competing in games. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for Marvin Lewis, I mean, they probably wouldn't even win those 6 to 8 games. I mean, just because he's a veteran defensive-minded coach, he can prepare the team, to stay in certain games. And then he was one of those guys that he's a kind of unsung hero. Like he gave so many guys like chances, second chances, third chances, just because of their reputation. The Pac-Man Jones is. I mean, how many guys would have, put up with all the stuff that Chad was doing, even in his prime, putting up 1,500, 1,300 yards? How many guys could have put up with what Chad was doing and just navigated certain things with Chris Henry and all those guys? A lot of guys that had bad reputations on the Bengals.
You're right.
Like Vontaze Burfict, guys like that. How many coaches could have navigated this stuff, man?
I'll say this: the end is like what you said, absolutely true. But at the same time, you weren't even the worst team in your division with Marvin Lewis. The Browns,
it was Browns.
Browns was a shit show. So you was getting 2 wins off the rip, and then the Ravens with Flacco, you might steal one. You know what I'm saying? You can take one of those. And I just think that, I mean, with the complete overhaul and everybody's so young, it is going to be hard to muster up wins. And you might be right. He might be on the chopping block, the hot seat pretty quickly. I mean, we both got them going 0-3. So if it don't look good, they lose to Jacksonville in week 4, man.
Like that's gonna be an interesting game, man. You got Urban Meyer first year, Cincinnati's at home. Like, how will Joe Burrow be acclimating himself to the season after last year? So you got a young QB battle. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Where do these young QBs stack up? Like where do you have Joe Burrow stacking up amongst the younger QBs.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, if you mess around and lose to Jacksonville and Detroit, yeah, you probably out of here because of damn Zach. Oh man, Zach and Tech, you out of here if you go 0-6 to start the season. But hey, we'll be right back. We'll come back with the Cleveland Browns. All right, we're back, man. Cleveland Browns made the playoffs last year. The Prophet Theory had them making it into the playoffs, even after what they went. I think it was like 500 year before, something like that. Showing progress, and they finally got it done. They made the playoffs 11-5, same record as the Baltimore Ravens. One game from being winning the division. You know, from Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh didn't start off 11-0, we would never know what would happen. But here you are again, man. Baker Mayfield. Same class as Lamar Jackson, so we'll see if he get paid or what kind of contract he gets. But you got Nick Chubb just got paid. You got the two receivers from LSU, Landry and OBJ, two good tight end sets, and Njoku and Austin Hooper. Offensive line, good. Who they drafted? I think was named Willis last year. They had him last year. You got Benatino. You got Clowney now. Myles Garrett. Hopefully he will hit them out with no helmets this year. You know, secondary looking good. This Brown teams, man, it's a little nasty over there. It's a little nasty.
The Browns have one of the 5 best rosters in the league. I mean, of course, you got to have Tampa Bay up there. I think Baltimore's up there. I think Cleveland is right there in that top 5, probably number 2 or number 3. I mean, they have it all. I mean, you have a RB tandem, Chubb and Hunt.
Crazy.
Granted, Odell is coming off of surgery, but when Odell is – and him and Baker really haven't found that chemistry yet. Sometimes Baker did try to force him the ball because he's Odell, I think. But you have Odell and Landry, who, when they're both on, that's one of the best receiver duos in the league. And you just named like what they did on defense. I mean, Myles Garrett, one of the best pass rushers in the game. Clowney is one of the best disruptors in the game.
Exactly. Yep.
So they're going to be putting pressure on teams' O-line week in and week out. And then when your defense go out there, Stefanski has shown he's a damn good play caller, and he's going to put the offense in good position. So they're going to be a top 10 offense, I think. And Baker's trying to prove himself too. Odell's trying to prove himself off the injury. Chubb just got paid. He's earned his money. I think the Browns are going to be pretty good, if not great this year, man. Like they should cross double digits again. They should compete for the division title. And it's rare you can say that about the Browns 2 years in a row. I mean, normally it's like, hey, I mean, have we ever said that about the Browns ever? Like they're gonna have 2 legit back-to-back years, and it's not far-fetched.
No, Vegas has them at 10.5 wins. When has the Browns ever been featured to get 10? Not since Jim Brown.
Yeah, I mean, this is rare, man. Like the Cleveland Browns, man, this is the most competitive they've been in most people's lifetime.
Yeah. I said if the defense is up there with one of the best, like with you talking about getting to the quarterback, you got good secondary, you got Ronnie Harrison back there, there's a War back there, Greedy Williams, who like he was supposed to be that man. But whether he be that star or not, but he's solid. It's just a lot, bro. And I feel like these teams that should be scared of the Browns. I mean, they pushed the Chiefs to the brink in the playoffs, had a chance to win that. So, they're made for any type of style. Like Baker Mayfield is one of the most accurate passers in the game. And he got the offensive line has been better. Like you said, you got the tandem of Chubb and Hunt to relieve the pressure from Baker Mayfield. But if he want to dice you up, he'll dice your ass up. And he got the guys to do it. This is like Lamar Jackson. You're hoping Hollywood Brown stay healthy. You're hoping Sammy Watkins stay healthy. You're hoping Rashad Bateman's that guy. With the Browns, outside of OBJ being healthy, like Kareem Hunt, you put the ball in his hands. Like that's all you gotta do. You put Landry gonna be there. Landry gonna be there. I mean, knock on wood, but Landry don't get hurt. So Landry gonna be there.
Yeah, Landry he's pretty reliable.
And you got 2 tight ends who athletic as hell, who can make plays in an instant. Like you got what it takes in any scenario. Whether you're losing, you can come back. You have the ability to put teams away and stomp on their necks with Chubb all day long. Like, cause what if it wasn't for Kareem Hunt, it was Chubb not competing for what Derrick Henry can do? Like, as far as like 2,000, like, he probably can get it. Because if he didn't get hurt last year, man, his pace was up there. So, this team offensively got what it takes. And on defense, that's really all you have to worry about is the defense. And we both think the defense is good. So that's all it's going to take. I think Cleveland last year was ranked 21 in total defense. So if you get it to 15, I mean, that's really all it's going to take.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Browns, specifically Baker. The league is competitive. His position is competitive. So I'm looking to see can Baker take that Tom Brady narrative that he used to have off himself. Can he go from a guy that's being carried by the franchise and turn to the guy that can carry the franchise? So I think that'll be something to watch for the Browns, because if Baker can turn to that kind of guy, he'll definitely get his contract. And then if he's in that category, he's up there for a top 10 in the game. And if you're a top 10, top 12 QB in the game, your team is competing for Super Bowl. Anybody like the Mahomes, the Brady.
Outside of the Texans and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. So, yeah. And even when he was playing and healthy, he was putting up 10, 11 wins. So, right. When you're one of those 10 or 12 elite guys, that's tier 1, tier 2, your team is a favorite to get to the Super Bowl, or you're on the fringe where 1 or 2 things open up and go right, you could be a Super Bowl type team. So I want to see, can Baker just change that narrative? Stefanski, great first year under his belt. Let's see what he does for Act 2. 3
years ago, if I said, Browns got Kansas City, Houston, Chicago, Minnesota, Chargers, start the season, 0-5. That's an 0-5 start. But now you're talking about a team who probably come out this with a winning record. I mean, you're at Kansas City, which is going to be tough. At Minnesota, going to be tough. But I mean, Houston going to be a gimme. You're a better talented team than Chicago. And then Chargers probably. I'm actually interested to see if that's going to be a home game for Cleveland or not. Because most times when you play the Chargers, you're more like a historical team, like you've been around since the 60s and 70s, which the Browns have. You got more fans in the world than the Chargers do. So we'll see. That's a home game for the Browns, just in LA. So you got a good start, man. And this is like, I feel like their schedule doesn't really have that murderer's row. Like when you got like 5 great teams in a row. Like they got Kansas City at the top, Baltimore back to back. Yeah, that's fine. But you got Green Bay penciled at the end, Minnesota sprinkled up there at the top with Chargers. You got and you got the Patriots in there. It's not even like a trap game. You got Cincinnati at New England, like in Detroit. So you don't really have that, that killer. And why? A third place schedule. that's going to prove to be why the Browns could win the division, because of that third place schedule. And that helped them. They don't see they play in the AFC West, so they see Kansas City, but the AFC South, you don't see Tennessee or the Colts. Like that's all you need. What's the other division? AFC what am I missing? AFC East. You don't get Buffalo. So you're missing 3 potential playoff teams off the bat just like that. I mean, that's pretty good for Cleveland.
Yeah, I think their first 8 weeks would kind of tell us what kind of season they're going to have. Open up against Kansas City. You should beat Houston. But the home game against Chicago, going on the road to Minnesota, we are expecting fans for all these games. Delta variant is out there, Lambda variant, and things like that. But for right now, we are still expecting fans to be in these stadiums. Minnesota should be tough crowd. and then you're gonna fly west to the Chargers. Like you said, it could be a possible homish field game, but you're still gonna change time zones, back-to-back road games against two solid teams, and then you're gonna come back to your place and get Arizona. That's a pretty good little stretch right there.
Yeah.
Denver is solid on defense, and Denver just has some questions as far as the Drew Teddy thing. Long term, we'll get to the division later, but long term, neither guy's the answer. So, will they still try to make a play for Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers? Like, what does Denver do QB wise? But just on the defensive side, that'll be a competitive game for the Browns, and then you're going to get your division round with Pittsburgh. So, the first 8 weeks are going to tell us a lot about the Browns.
Yeah, and if they make it out those 8 games, even if it's 4-4, Cincinnati, Detroit, in New England, those games you're gonna have to win. I mean, I know Bill Belichick is in New England and whatever, but you got to find ways to win those type of games. Vegas had them 10.5. We both had them at 12 wins. We both have them after the bye, only losing 1 game. They have a late bye, week 13, but if they're going 4-1 after the bye, going into the playoffs, you're looking real good. You're looking real good as far as going. Okay, we got a little rhythm going. Now it's like you said. Now it's Baker time to put up a shut up, get the contract you deserve. So go ahead and put on a show. So if we believe in Cleveland, like we're saying, man, it's the sky's the limit. I mean, when the best rosters in football, like you said, they went toe to toe with Kansas City. They beat Baltimore last year. So you're right there. You're literally one step away, and all it takes is, we talk about when you talk about ranking quarterbacks, and we'll talk about our rankings for this division in a second. But Lamar been MVP, Mahomes been MVP. I'm not saying he had to be MVP-esque, but if you're in the range and we're saying, oh, you had a better season than Ryan Tannehill and Kirk Cousins, oh, you had a better season than Dak Prescott, if that's the case, then I don't see why Browns not winning the Super Bowl. Like that's just how talented I think the Browns are. And in Baker Mayfield, who you said had the potential to be a top 10 guy, and we saying he's got a better season than Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, and Dak, who we believe like the fringe
Ball in the top 10.
There's no reason why the Browns are not winning the Super Bowl, like, at least being in that spot where you have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And so that's really what it is, man. Same thing we say about Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. Same thing I say about Cleveland Browns with Baker Mayfield in year 4. Like, this is if they want to win before they had to pay him, this is the time. This is the exact time. You have the great roster, and he's not being paid yet, and so this is the time.
I mean, this may seem like a bold statement, bold prediction, but I have the Browns as my second favorite to win the AFC. I think it's Kansas City, then Cleveland, then Baltimore. And I'll only say that just because Baltimore has to solve the passing game problem. Like, the Browns can run the ball and pass the ball.
Yep.
Of course, injuries play a part in everything. John Harbaugh's a great coach. Stefanski's only in his second year, but he's shown what he can do as a coordinator and in his first year as head coach. I just think if it came down to, they're going to play twice in the regular season. If it came down to a third game in the playoffs, no matter if it's home or on the road, I would take the Browns in that scenario because they have more in the tool chest.
Yeah.
Baker's accurate. Lamar's accuracy has been questioned at times. You have Chubb and Hunt. They have Lamar. Let's see if Dobbins takes a leap forward, but we know what these two studs at running back can give you. If they're healthy, Odell and Landry, and then just the defensive pressure they can apply, man. So I would have the Browns right there at number 2. As my AFC favorite. Chiefs, Browns, Ravens, and then I have the Titans from the teams we've already discussed.
I like that. Now, if you told me, you give me Clowney and OBJ, and they played 13, 14 games this year. Yeah. I'll put some money down on the Browns to win the AFC for real. If that was you told me, because that means you got one of the best disruptors in the game, and when he's on and when he's there, one of the best receivers in the game. That's stuff that they didn't have last year. OBJ was not there last year. Klein went on the team last year. So that's two things you're adding, two dynamic pieces. Like and what you say about Klein not having the sack numbers and blah blah, I get that, but he is a disruptor. Well, you already mentioned it, and when you had Myles Garrett on the other side,
you can't double.
Oh my God, that's good luck, AFC North. Good luck, AFC.
Yeah, like Clowney might be the best mercenary in the game right now. I mean, he's been on bouncing team to team, making the playoffs, and hoping to get that Super Bowl run. I mean, hopefully, he's found his run right here in Cleveland, man. Because he had a solid year with Titans, solid year with Seattle. You know, we all look at him as, oh, he was a top pick, and these numbers, he don't have the numbers. But I mean, everything ain't about the numbers all the time. You have to actually turn the film on and see.
Right.
If he didn't make a certain little move or apply this amount of pressure, that play would have went different. He's one of the best disruptors of our era. The game has seen from my era for sure.
Yeah. It's sad that the Hall of Fame is a number based, system. So he won't get there, but at least for what, like you said about the film, you watch it. He definitely leads the F the play up stats. Like that was a stat. How many times you ever play up in the game? He's up there. Let's move to the last team, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now I want to do something very interesting with this. So I want us to go ahead and rank. Let's go ahead and rank our coaches that we haven't done yet for the AFC North. So consensus, number one for both of us, Mike Tomlin. I mean yeah, you can debate Harbaugh, we can have the debate, but for this show, me and Rashad both saying Mike Tomlin. So number two, we got John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. Stefanski at 3. His 3 is not that bad compared to other number 3s in the league. Trust me. Like, because Kevin Stefanski is, I would say, a top 15, 16 team, 32 teams in the league. Stefanski is a top 16 coach. I can say that with ease. Then number 4, obviously Zach Taylor. He only got 6 wins. I mean, how far you think he's supposed to be up here? But so that's our coach rankings. Our quarterback rankings. Here we go. Who you got number 1?
I mean, you got to go Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar's one of the 10 best QBs in the game.
Okay, so Lamar Jackson, I'm with you. I got number 1, Lamar Jackson. Number 2.
I'm going Baker Mayfield.
I'm going Baker too. So all right, so I got Baker too. All right, number 3. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Joe Burrow, even off an injury, man. Like just the upside that he has. I mean, he's mobile, and even though he's off injury, the games he played this past season, I saw enough to where I can say I think he's gonna have a better year than Big Ben. Big Ben started to fade as the season went on. I mean, they went from 11-0 to it was 11-5.
1-40 in the season.
11-5.
Yeah, because lost the playoffs. Yeah. So it's I'm 100% with you. So this is where it gets interesting because we have John Harbaugh and we have Lamar Jackson, top 2 coach, top 2 quarterback, right? In this division, we have Stefanski at 3, his quarterback number 2, and Baker Mayfield. But this one is different. You got number 1, the coach is Mike Tomlin. We seen without Big Ben when he had Duck and Buck. What was Mason Rudolph? We had those 2 guys. Devlin Hodges.
They went 8-8. They were still vying for the playoff. I mean, so Tomlin's legit.
That is perfect evidence to say why Mike Tomlin is the best coach and why because what? Cincinnati had who? Cincinnati had Andy Dalton. Like, so he was last going into the season that year, but with those guys, you're last. And he still got 8-8. So even with a number 4 quarterback, then he's 8-8. And I don't think I hope people don't think we're sitting here like shitting on Big Ben and saying like he's sorry, but
no, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's won. I mean, he's won double the amount of games he's lost. 2-time Super Bowl champion. I mean, he'll be in the Hall of Fame the first time he's eligible. He'll be first or second ballot.
Yeah, first or second ballot definitely. So I don't, Pittsburgh fans, please don't don't kill us. But yeah, it's always funny that but always something after that. But it's
I embrace the debate. I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. He's all last year. What did he do? He threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. They couldn't run the ball. They threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage because he couldn't throw the ball deep. Like he lost that part of his game. Like that's that, and that's not saying he old as hell. Like this man been playing since 2004. Like come on, the rest of his guys are retired at the house. He the last one's left. So he the last one. So it's okay. Like it's okay.
He's thrown 7,800 career regular season passes. I mean, you add on the playoffs, I think that's another almost 800. So I mean, come on, man. I mean, what do you expect? The dude has over 8,000 throws, and that's just regular season and playoffs. You're not counting all the college throws, all the high school throws, pee-wee football throws,
right, man. It's
preseason throws, practice throws. I mean, he's been through it all. He had the injury in 2019. You know, I mean, Big Ben he's given us a lot. You know, off the field, he's had his transgressions and things like that. But on the field, he's given us everything he's had. He's put up 60,000 passing yards. I mean, he's high on the list for passing yards. You know, I mean, he's put his body on the line for this franchise, for the fans, for multiple years. But as the saying goes, Father Time is undefeated. You know,
yeah.
I mean, he got injured. He came back. Off to a pretty good start. I mean, 33 TDs, 10 INTs. That's, in the grand scheme of things, there's not nothing to sneeze at. But as you watch the games go on, you saw over the course of the season, he started to gas out. Whether that's because he's not the biggest off-season training type of guy, whatever the case may be, he started to gas out. And the team went from looking like they were going to set some records of, potentially, the talk was in the air. Could they go 16-0?
Right.
It was, I mean, when you see a team start to get 10, 11, when you hit double digits,
talk about it.
The conversation has to come up. You start looking at, well, is this a winnable game? All that kind of stuff. And it did come up, but they started to fade. They, as a starter being finished 12-3. But I mean, what else can we ask of the guy? I mean, he's put his body on the line for a long time. Yeah. We know his contract is going to end after this season. Does he ride off into the sunset? Does he renew for one more year? Does he go on like a year-by-year basis? What happens? I mean, I saw Steelers fans clamoring for Aaron Rodgers to come next year, and they brought Dwayne Haskins in. Do they have a diamond in the rough with that? They have a lot of questions to ask about the QB spot.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I'll say this. This is the greatest quarterback in like division group. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, because we're talking about four guys. If we're ranking quarterbacks, I'll say this. I think all four guys are in the top 20. You say Lamar Jackson top 10. I agree with you on that. Joe Burrow, Big Ben, probably more of the back end, and Baker Mayfield right in that middle, 15, 16 spot. So this division is the best quarterback room. So it's at least this number 4 Big Ben ain't what we talked about in the AFC South number 4 or the NFC South number 4. Like, so it's not as bad as that. And with the Steelers, like, okay, yeah, we talk about the QB, but they drafted Najee Harris in the first round, which something they desperately needed is running back. But we all know, man, this offensive line is not what it used to be, and that predicates on why they had to do dink and dunk last year when you had to throw the ball to Claypool in the back of the end, in behind the line of scrimmage. Deontay Johnson, same thing. Like the only hope is Najee Harris is so great that he can make nothing out of something. Like he can go take a 2-yard loss and turn it into an 8-yard gain. That's what Adrian Peterson did for a long time in Minnesota. Like and Najee Harris has shown that he has the body to do it. Like he has the speed and the size to do it. So, if they can bring a running game, then I probably can be a little lenient of the Steelers offensively. Because if you're just gonna throw the ball 50 times with Big Ben, you're not going this time. You're not going to go 11-0. You're not going 11 this time. So everything got to regress to the mean. And if you're going to keep throwing the ball like that, you're not going to win games this year. And that's what I am in fear of, that the running game doesn't get off to where it needs to be. And we know Pittsburgh is known for that running game. Le'Veon Bell was dominant in fantasy football. We was always drafting Le'Veon Bell top 2, and now can Najee Harris be that, be Le'Veon Bell-esque a little bit, or Jerome Bettis-esque, where you can rely on the running game. And we know the defense is defense, man. That's just what it is. I think the secondary is not as great as it used to be. They lost my Mike Hilton. They lost somebody else secondary, but I'm not scared of the secondary per se. I am scared of TJ Watt.
Oh yeah,
that's Devin Bush and those guys, like that's what you have to worry about, that front seven, and the defense is gonna be what it is. But I can say this defense might, and once again, when you say it, it sounds bad, but when you think about the grand scheme of things, this defense could be the third best in the division. Like we talk about the Ravens and the Browns, like they could be the third best in the division. You're talking about the fourth best quarterback. We talk about how good the Bengals receiving core is. They can be the third best receiving core, like only in front of the Ravens. Like they don't have the best running back because the Ravens got that, and then the best TAM is over the Browns. So you don't really have nothing. You might not have nothing you're the best at anymore, except being the best coach. Like that's that can be predicated on not winning the division this year, especially when you got a first place schedule. Like it's the small stuff that I'm nitpicking at, but it could matter.
My biggest concern with having an aging QB is that early bye week. You don't. If they would have had the Cincinnati bye week, that week 10 bye, I'll be okay with it. But you have that week 7 bye, and this is an aging QB. I mean, you're gonna have to put a lot of games together for a long period of time, man.
Now, I'm about to say that does
so like I'm wondering, does the NFL integrate load management? Like, do you just give Ben a week off because his body's there where he just can't throw the ball 40 times that week? I mean, because their schedule is pretty tough. I mean, opening up with Buffalo, you get Raiders and Bengals at home. You would just on paper pencil those in as wins. You're gonna go to Green Bay. Who knows what's going on with Aaron Rodgers at that time? As far as like, of course he's gonna be playing, but like, how's the locker room in week 4? So that could be a 3-1 start, 2-2 start, depending on how that goes. You get Denver, Seattle, then after your bye, I mean, you're gonna have to catch the Browns twice, Kansas City on the road, Minnesota on the road, Baltimore twice. You're going to the Chargers. You have Chicago, another solid defensive team. You have the Titans. So after your bye, man, your schedule is going to be pretty.
You got one duck. That's the Lions. That's it.
You basically have all playoff type teams after your bye. Like even getting Cincinnati in your division at Cincinnati after coming from the Chargers right before you play Baltimore.
Trap game.
Who knows how that can go?
Trap. Trap alert. Trap alert.
So the Steelers have a lot to be concerned about schedule-wise. They didn't. I mean, it's a first-place schedule. They didn't get any breaks. So
hell no, they didn't.
So I mean, if someone says, "Hey, I have Pittsburgh winning 7-8 games this year," I would not laugh at that. Or if someone said, "I have Pittsburgh winning 10-11 games this year," I wouldn't laugh or clown that, because this is one of those years where they have a wide range of outcomes, because that schedule after the bye.
It's crazy.
It's gonna be. You got to bring your A game every week, and then basically all your division games are in the second half of your season too. All of them. You get one division game up front. That's Cincinnati week 3. After that, you're playing. We already talked about how good the Browns are and the Ravens. You got to put those 4 games together, mixed in with some Titans and some Kansas City and stuff like that. You got to bring your A game every week, man. And that's a lot to ask, man. You got to bring your A game every single week. You can't have an off week.
So it's crazy. So I actually had the Browns sweeping Pittsburgh. You got Browns splitting with them. So that's one extra win that you got over me, right? But what you mentioned earlier made a lot of sense. Will Big Ben fade out again? And that, I think that changes what you said about the 7 wins to 11 wins. You have Pittsburgh at 11. I got Pittsburgh at 7. And that's because I had the fade. I have a 5-game losing streak to end the season. So they're 7-5 going into what week was that week 14? And I had them losing out. So, that's just maybe because Big Ben he might need a little management. Might need to sit him versus Detroit and let Haskins win that game, because you should be able to beat Detroit with Haskins. I'm just saying, like, just at least on paper, like unless he don't throw pick sixes, you can win that game. Let Big Ben get another bye week in there. You got Cincinnati. You might can afford that one. If you but that's an interesting take, bro. We might have to put some low man, because if the running game don't get going, which that's what I'm scared of the most. You cannot sit here and throw 45, 50 balls with Big Ben and think that's going to happen against Minnesota, Tennessee, Chiefs, Browns, and Ravens at the end of the season. I don't see that being successful when you just down the road. So it's going to be tough, man, for Pittsburgh. Like Baltimore at Minnesota, Tennessee at Chiefs, Cleveland at Baltimore. That's crazy scheduling by the NFL committee for a team that won first place to a team that's like historically one of the best franchises in the NFL. To do them like that, that's messed up. that's messed up.
Yeah, they have, to me, the toughest schedule out of everybody. They didn't get a scheduling break at all, and then it's just the fact that, like, just how it's set up. You're going on the road to a tough environment, you come back home to a tough opponent. Like you said, you had them on a 5-game skid at the end. Some of that's going to be due to just quality of opponent. Also, can he hold up? You're asking 38, 39-year-old Ben Roethlisberger and team to fly to Kansas City in week 16
and outduel Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, like that's a tough one. You're gonna play the Browns again, Baltimore. Like, you're asking back-to-back division opponents with solid defenses and offenses. Like, how many weeks? I'm just gonna keep saying, how many weeks can you play a game perfect football against these opponents? Because they're all quality playoff level opponents.
And on top of that, Baltimore, Minnesota, Titans, and Browns can run the ball down your throat all game. We don't have to worry about. We might have to worry about Big Ben fading out. He might be on the bench the whole game because Cook, Henry, Chubb, and Lamar Jackson run all over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I ain't say that's gonna happen. I'm just saying, that's 4 teams that can just run the ball and keep Big Ben on the sideline too. So that's gonna be tough, man. And that's gonna be tough for the Steelers. I think the AFC North has the biggest range of outcomes, because the Steelers can make a noise and still be that because you have Mike Tomlin, and we can be totally wrong about Big Ben. He could have. I mean, he lost weight this summer and finally did a regimen program together, and he could be great. And if that's the case, if Big Ben is getting to his bag where he's a top 10 quarterback and we're saying he had a better season than Tannehill, Dak, and Kirk Cousins, well, this door open for another Super Bowl, right? And same thing we say for the Browns and same for the Ravens. Like, they all three could be a three race horse going down to it, and they all play each other toward the end of the season, so it could set up that possible way. So I really hope Pittsburgh Steelers fans don't just like just come at us, because I mean at least we're giving you some reasoning behind it. It got to regress. You won 11 games and then it started to fade out, and then you lost 4 games. So if you're doing the same thing, you might not win that close game against this team in this time. Like, you might lose that. So you might instead of be 11-0, you might be 8-3, and then you lose 4 games. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's very possible.
Yeah, I mean, I got them at 11 wins, man. I think they're gonna start off pretty good, and then they'll kind of be able to weather the storm on the back end. I think those last 2 division games are going to be very, very key, though, just because we said we have Baltimore around 13 wins. Well, I have Browns at 12, and I have Pittsburgh at 11. I just think the last couple of games are going to be
make it.
Potential tiebreaker, playoff seeding type games for them. That's kind of how I have the season going.
Yeah. So I mean, I got Ravens 13 and Browns at 12. Pittsburgh being 7, but like I said, if I say they're gonna have a 5-game skid, you're talking about them being very competitive toward the end. And then I'm not. I mean, yeah, L is an L, but I'm not saying they're getting blown out the waters. I don't think that's the case. It just with a team make a field goal here, you got a pass interference here. It's all splitting hairs, man. And even if I'm wrong a little bit, like as far as a 5-game skid, but they go 2-3. You're still only what? You're still only 9-8 this time. And is that enough to make the playoffs? I don't know. So I definitely have a lot of faith in the Browns. I have a lot of faith in the Ravens. The Steelers one, I'm iffy. So that 8.5 from Vegas line, I got him at 7. You got him at 11. I think you're playing with fire if you're testing that waters, because you don't really know. You don't know what side. You know what Big Ben you're going to get. And I think that's our whole premise about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had no issue with I don't have no issue with the receiving core. I don't have no receiving with the defense. Like, I even like Najee. Now, can they run the ball? That's what we got to find out. But
yeah, it's just the old line has gotten weaker, and
right.
Ben is aging.
Right,
and then you throw the schedule on top of that.
That's hard.
That's
hard.
You playing with fire. You asking for a lot.
I'll say if all my bettors out there, please avoid the Steelers, man, at all costs. If you're gonna put money down, I'll take the Ravens and Browns over. I think that's pretty comfortable. I'm taking the Bengals under. And with Steelers, avoid. Yeah, it just, like Rashad said, it's so many. It's the wide range of outcomes. You can be totally right or you can be totally wrong on this, and that's just something I'm not going down this hill. I'm not gonna sit here and cry if somebody say Pittsburgh gonna be 12 wins. I ain't gonna do it. You got it. But I mean, I'm just on the lower side of it, and Rashad's on the higher side, so we'll see. I mean, it could be, they could be right in the middle. 9 wins. That's possible.
Yeah, you said it's 8.5. Mike Tomlin's 3 worst years are all 8-8. So he's always been at least a 500 coach, and that's with terrible QBs. So you got to think, and if he has Big Ben upright for almost the whole year,
at least 9, right?
and they have, and they have something in Haskins, you're looking at, okay, they'll at least keep his record of over 500 or over, at least be 9-8. That's the low. You at least think about that.
I give you that. I definitely give you that, because with Doug Hodges and Mason Rudolph, boy, whew, Lord have mercy. Jeez, I won't put it on anybody. No, I won't put it on no coach. But Mike Tomlin, that's gonna be the one to do it. That's gonna be he'd be the one to get you over the hump. So like you said, as long as Haskins if Big Ben was to get hurt or fade out, you got Haskins, and he probably better than both of those guys. So he should be able to right the ship a little bit. So that's our AFC North private playoff theory. We got the Ravens winning the division, man. I feel like that is definitely the lock of our theory, where you have the top 2 coach, top 2 quarterback. They have one of the best rosters in the game. Rashad named top 3 rosters, and Ravens is one of them. And the schedule, second place schedule. I feel like the Browns are close to it being a lock when you have the third best coach, who we say is the top 16 coach. Like, so you got to remember that. You got to think about the grand scheme of that as well. Kevin Stefanski, one of the best coaches in the league. He's just not better than Tomlin, not better than Harbaugh right now. And with Baker being a top 2 quarterback and a third place schedule, and Rashad said a top 5 roster, you got to put Cleveland Browns in there as a lock for this theory. So Browns and Ravens are a lock, man. Got to be in the playoffs, man. When we go through the wild card and all that kind of stuff, we'll reveal all that. But I feel like those 2 teams are very, very strong.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting division, man. We got the Ravens locked in, and it's gonna be crazy that the Browns are gonna be potentially so good, and they got to play in a wild card spot.
Yes, that's crazy part. Yeah,
that's just how the NFC West has been with that 49ers, Seattle Rams trio, and you have it here with the emergence of the Browns. Normally it was a two-team race, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, but now last year, and we expect this year that Cleveland will make it a 3-team race. So it'll be interesting, man. Based on my projections, I have all 3 making the playoffs again. So let's see. Hey. That'll be rare, but let's see how it happens. With this 7-seed playoff system, it's possible.
Yeah, exactly. So all right. So our next 2 shows coming out will be the East of the AFC and NFC. So make sure y'all tune into that. We're gonna have a couple guests on, and they're going to help rank them, man, and see if their theory matches ours as far as who's gonna make it there. So y'all stay tuned for that as well, man. Make sure y'all check out our previous episodes, AFC the South, AFC South, and NFC South. We'll be back for some more, man. Probably playoff theory. Preach with Rashad. Yeah. All right.